it does go back to that communicating. And when you have kids, it's such a vulnerable thing. And you just have to be okay with saying, like, I can't do it all. I need a little help. And that doesn't make you a bad parent. And that was something I had to tell myself.
Yes. Yes, because we do. And it isn't as though it was ever placed upon me.
No, yeah.
And that was the key thing for me that I had to realize. Nobody told me that I had to do it all.
I know.
It's just like I felt like I had to do it all somehow.
Yeah.
And being willing to go, okay, then I have to change.
Right.
In order to be the best parent for my child, have to be willing to say, I don't have to do it all.
That's right. And that is hard.
It's so hard.
It's something I still struggle with every day, of just whatever expectations that I am placing on myself, having to really learn. And I think you learn this just in age and maybe in confidence of being a parent too, of just, I don't have to do all of those things. Like, that's not, it's okay if I have to pick up food tonight and I didn't make dinner. You know what I mean? Like, that's so small, but sometimes you put these expectations on yourself and you're communicating with yourself internally, but you're not saying those out loud. And I always find it so helpful when I just say, like, oh, I know I fell short here. And I say that out loud. So then my partner's like, what? What do you mean? Like, nobody expected you to do that. And sometimes you can hammer out things that way, in communicating. That's helpful too. And really kind of bringing it back to yourself. So anytime there's a disagreement, if you can use what you call like an I statement, I'm feeling this way versus you're making me feel this way, the conversation's going to go a lot better.
Yes, I found that too. And even being able for me to like journal some things.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
It helped so much.
That's great.
As I was raising my son, just so I could keep my thoughts straight for what was going on in my internal world, so I didn't make it his problem.
Yeah, that's so great.
Right? Because I couldn't keep my thoughts straight sometimes when you're like working, and at the time I was going to school and I was raising him, and I was a single parent at the time, so I was like, I can't keep my thoughts straight. Right. I need to do something. Yeah. So I would write it down, and now I can look back on those journals and go,
I love it. You still have them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
How did I do all that I did when I was doing it? Yeah. So it's a good thing to look back on, but it was the only thing that kept me sane for a little while. Yeah. And it helped teach my son positive, like, self habits.
Absolutely.
So he could utilize it at some point in his life too. Yeah. I don't think he uses it to this day, but Yeah,
but he might one day too. You never know. But I think that's awesome.
So it is, as you said, it's by action, right? Our kids absorb our actions far faster than they do our words.
Oh, 100%.
So body language and actions are communication that we're sometimes not even aware of.
That's right. I always say too, I really kind of cringe sometimes when I'm thinking about how my kids will say something to the dog. I'm like, is that how I talk to the dog? If I'm annoyed at the dog and then they're repeating how I'm saying it to the dog, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't talk to the dog that way. That is such a good example of how they just watch your behavior. If you have a 3-year-old and they pick up a pretend cell phone and they are playing independently and pretend play, and you hear them talking on the phone, right? And they mimic everything we say and do, for better or for worse.
They do.
And so I think that's such a good point with communication too, of when you sit down and you're communicating with somebody or your partner and they're listening to you and they're listening to how you talk about people. They're listening to when you're at a restaurant, how you're talking about people to the waitress and waiter. I mean, right? Like it's all of those things that really do play such a part and a role, and things I think we just forget about because our day-to-day is so quick. So you bring up a really good point with communication oftentimes too, is just them watching you and learning.